One of the things that I'm grateful for in this era is the advancement in technology, the popularity of gaming exploding has created these bubbles of very talented people preserving and creating add-ons for the games that they love that keeps games alive for a very long time. So my homie Taj, he was the one that put me on Parsec, which if you're a gamer, you know about Parsec. It's the application on PCs that allows you to basically be able to play like local multiplayer games with another person. So for example, like if you have the PCSX2 emulator and you're playing Budokai 3, it allows you to be able to play like multiplayer and without having to set up the peer-to-peer connections, get a dedicated emulator that can do the Wi-Fi thing if your emulator doesn't have it connected, and then have an ISO that allows the multiplayer on a local level to be split into online multiplayer. Like, you don't have to do that anymore. You can just play local multiplayer, and all you got to do is set up a peer-to-peer connection with your PC and somebody else's. And I feel like we've been talking about that technology since I was a child, honestly, the like late 2000s. And it finally really got taken off very late 2010s, early 2020s. And a lot of people use it now. And it's just one of those things that breathes life into games that were couch multiplayer games. Like I said, Budokai 3. Now you can play Budokai 3 with your homies, and it's very easy. Like, me and Taj tried to set up an Infinite World tournament years ago, and we just couldn't figure out a way. We had enough people that wanted to do it to be able to try it, but trying to get the logistics figured out for everybody to be able to set up their connections in a way that would be stable enough to play was just a lot that we couldn't handle. And the fact of the matter is, it's like if we were trying to do that today, it would be so much easier with stuff like Parsec. I was also having Platinum had commented on one of my tweets about the PS3 and the 360 earlier today, the day on which I'm recording this. And we were talking about 360 versus PS3 in the modern day, and I was saying that PS3 today is better primarily because of the homebrew scene, the modding scene, and what everybody has been able to turn their PS3s into, what the PS3 was inherently capable of, that now you just get people being able to bring out of the system. You see this a lot with the PlayStation Vita. Like, PlayStation Vita is receiving a ton of attention in the modern day because it was always a great handheld, but now because of the homebrew scene, it has just received an explosion in people actually paying attention to it, and because it's just an awesome handheld. It's the same thing, like the 3DS servers died years ago at this point, and yet people are still keeping the 3DS alive because of homebrew and their own custom servers to be able to play certain games and everything. It's just awesome. We live in an era where this is becoming more and more common, where you get a console understanding that you're going to get 15 to 20 years out of it, because after the 7-8 year mark, you're just going to hack it. You're just going to install some custom firmware on it, and the community is just going to be able to build out these apps and build out these things that are going to be able to get you to get the most out of your device. Every gaming console becomes a RetroArch machine at some point. And like you were getting to the point where like the PS3 and the PS4 are so freaking powerful that like the PS4 can legitimately run like some GameCube games and PS2 games. as an emulated platform. So like the amount of technology and gaming history that you're able to emulate on these games, like when you were hacking an Xbox back in the day, you were doing it to play retro games like Super Nintendo, all of that type of stuff. Nowadays, you're getting into 3D games. Like I can't wait to see what the PS5, PS6 can do. Like we very may well be upon a PlayStation system very soon that can legitimately play every single iteration of PlayStation games. Like we've been asking Sony for that for years, but the PlayStation 6 may be powerful enough to where in the next 5 years we may be at a point where, because I don't think the PS5 is quite powerful enough to probably play most PS3 games, just because it's not a one-to-one with PC. If the PS5 was a PC, it'd be perfectly fine to be able to play, you know what I'm saying, PS3 games. But you know, it's a little different when working around the hardware and the software with consoles than it is PC hardware. But the PS6 definitely should be able to do it. And the game libraries on PS4, starting with the PS4, were basically like all of the games were downloadable. They're PC games at this point. The consoles are PCs now. So it's one of those things where I like with the PS6, I don't see why you wouldn't be able to play PS4 games, PS5 games all natively on the console. You can most certainly play PS1 games. Definitely going to be able to get PSP games on there. Definitely going to be able to run PS2 because the PS3 can run PS2 games. And then like you're going to get to the point where the PS6 may be powerful enough to where in a couple of years people are going to be able to get PS3 games running on it. So if you have a modded PS6 in 2035, you're going to look back and you're going to say, damn, 6 generations worth of PlayStation consoles are playable on this one system. Wild. And it's not like, because it's a little different when it's a PC. When it's an actual PlayStation console that you can just play all your games on. Like, you're going to be able to play your PSP, your PS Vita, your PS1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6 games on. It's going to be like, it's going to be at a point where it's almost going to get to a point where it's like, there's almost no reason to even buy a new console at that point. You know what I mean? Like, to me, it's almost at that point right now. Like, I kind of think that way. I kind of think the PS5 might be the last console I buy, because I don't play it. Like, I play my PC. So it's, and I don't really buy games new anyways. And the games that I do buy new, they're never exclusives almost. Like, so if these exclusives are going to continue to come over a year or two later, that's when I'm going to buy them anyways, because I don't really buy games full price for the most part. Most of the time, I have such a deep backlog of games that I need to get through. Like, that's why I'm going back and playing PS3 and PS4 games, because I've had a backlog of those games since I was a kid that I need to get through. So it's one of those things where this stuff that people are being able to do that the companies themselves either cannot do because of licensing or money wise, or just don't want to do, just don't want to sink the resources into, the community is finding ways to do it themselves. And it's extending the life of a lot of gaming systems in a way that we have never seen in history, because when the GameCube came out, and especially once the Wii was out, the N64 was dead. If you wanted to play N64 games, it was either you took really good care of your console or you were getting them off the Wii Virtual Console shop. The GameCube, you know what I'm saying? By the time the Switch came out, we were looking for Switch to have GameCube emulation, and it just never really came. You know what I mean? Like, and it's taken people to create hardware mods and flashcards and all of this stuff to be able to keep the GameCube alive and be able to keep it, you know what I'm saying, functioning and running. It's taken people being able to create their own Xbox Live servers for the original Xbox, is what I'm trying to say. for those games to be able to be preserved and brought back up, because for some reason after that GameCube, generation, they just stopped caring about backwards compatibility. And Xbox kind of started to care about it a little more because the 360 could play a lot of Xbox games. And then with the Xbox One, they started to bring in Xbox and Xbox 360 backwards compatibility to where you could even pop in your disc and still be able to play them. But it's not that big of a focus. They're kind of more on the Game Pass thing. And the only Xbox that you can even buy that even has a physical disc tray is the Series X. So unless you get the most expensive model, you're not even going to be able to pop disc in there anyways. You know what I mean? And like I said, PS3 is just either too difficult for Sony, or they just don't want to invest in it to be able to create an emulator for it, to where they still haven't even gotten a fully functioning PS2 emulator running on PlayStation native hardware so that it can sell a lot of their classic games again. You know what I mean? Like they tried to do a little bit of a push for it at the end of the PS4 generation, and then you haven't heard much from it since. And it's just kind of sad because on one hand, it's like, damn, we can't get any official representation for it. But the beautiful part about the future is you can look forward to the community doing it. And that's what a lot of these technologies and these community-based emulators, software, custom firmwares, homebrew applications, like it was just homebrew on the Wii when I was a kid just seemed so crazy. You know what I mean? Like it was so crazy to me, and I so wanted to be able to get homebrew on my Wii, and I was just never able to do it. And nowadays, it's like the type of things that you can do with a modded console make JTagging Xbox 360s and installing homebrew applications on the Wii look like child's play. It's like you weren't even unlocking a lot of the console. You were just giving it a couple of extra features to be able to cheat in games or move your saves around. And it's like, yeah, that's the most basic thing that we do today. That's the most basic thing that we do. It's awesome, dog. It's awesome. Yeah, I love the technology. I love the future that we're gonna be able to have because of community based projects like that. And I think it just helps gaming. I think it helps gaming. I think it preserves these older consoles and older games, because you see some of these, you know, younger people going back and studying gaming history. Like, we're old enough to the point where like the sixth generation is gaming history at this point, and like it's old enough to where it was the Nintendo Entertainment System was as old to us when we were kids as the Xbox, PS2, and GameCube is to kids that are growing up with gaming right now. And them being able to go back and play those games, and still having the even older games than that to be able to still go back to. It's just, I love it. I love the fact that they can do it. I love the fact that we can preserve history like that. And that's why I'm mad at Nintendo for trying to go after emulators so much, because we need those kind of things, because it's not like you're going to give us good ports of any of your games. But that's a rant for another day. Thank y'all for watching, man. I've been on a roll with these vids. I hope y'all enjoy my yap sessions. Peace.